Okay, folks, welcome back. So we had a little escapade here yesterday on some land battleships, these T-35s, and a battle that they were prominent in, even though there's only four of them. So check that out if that's something you're interested in. But I have these T-35s to do. I've only done one of them, and I did them kind of at the beginning of my World War II return a couple of years ago. And they're actually in 187 scale. They're actually pretty heavy, but they are all plastic. And they paint up pretty well, so I figured, since I'm kind of thinking about it right now, let's go ahead and get these things started and let's do them old school style and kick it up a notch. So this still looks pretty good, but it's missing a couple of things that I do now. And that is the black lining, the pin washing, and the drippings. So we're going to retrofit this one at the same time that we're going to paint these other three. Now, it just so happens that I have three other ones to do, making four. Hey, it's morning math. And there was four in that battle. So, I'm going to take this opportunity to actually write down the steps that I do so that I don't screw it up, because I've been doing a lot of snow stuff and different things. And, yeah, so anyhow. So, first thing we're going to prime black. Then we're going to dry brush main color. Okay, then we're going to brown wash. Then dry brush main color again. Then we're going to lighten +2 main color and dry brush. If we're going to do the pin washing, we're going to stick that in between. We're going to lighten the main color +1. Then we're going to pin wash. Then we're going to lighten main color +2 and +3. And then drippings. Then seal. Then mount on stand. Okay. All right, so I don't screw that up. So they're prime black-ish. These were airbrushed. They don't need to be airbrushed. I just did it because it's supposed to be faster. If you fight with your airbrush, it's not faster. And these have been sitting in the garage for a long time. A fair amount of time. So I'm just going to go through here and make sure that we don't need to do any spot putting black in different areas, okay? So, like this one, this core one, for whatever reason, was a white one. This is a white. I don't know if you could tell on here, but it's actually a white plastic. Now these are actually 1/35th scale. Not 1/35th scale, 1/87th scale. HO scale for like train layouts. They're made by a company called Primo or Premo. And I got this one a long time ago, probably around 1991, and finished it a couple of years ago. And these I got recently. For maybe a year ago at a show for $1 a piece. So they're not exactly the same scale of these, But this is such a huge vehicle that you get the point across of what it is. So that's my disclaimer. So I could either get these for $1 and have fun with them, okay? Or I could spend, a lot more. And they really won't fit on stands down. All right, so first things first, we've got, I got some stuff here to protect my paint area, because what we're about to do is gets kind of messy. What's up, Pub? We'll just call you Pub. And let's get a let's get a brush that I'm not going to have to fight. I know sometimes that's a bit of a challenge. I have so many to choose from. All right, let's take a look at, now all the turrets on all these are exactly the same. It's got a 76mm main gun turret, 2 45mm main gun turrets, secondary gun turrets, sorry, and a couple of machine gun turrets. And there's one thing I am gonna need, that's the X-Acto knife. Because some of these connection points on here are gonna be super, as you can see, they're very stuck in place. I just kind of jammed these things on here to get them to move. To move them out from the garage. The paint's not even that thick, but it's just enough to make it a pain to turn them. Now, I don't believe these are glued together. I don't think I glued them together. I could be wrong. Because they're kind of snap-on things anyways. Maybe I did. Maybe this was one that already came this way. But regardless, there's some white showing. So we need to remove that. And the last thing you want, last thing I want, are you painting those? I am. And they're gonna look like, well, they're gonna look better than this because this doesn't have the pin washing on it. We're gonna bring that one up to modern standards. More modern standards, I should say. And we're gonna paint these with an airbrush, with a paintbrush. I don't think that an airbrush makes that much of a difference. How could you say? I'm just saying it. I mean, I'm not that good with an airbrush. I'm not. Now, that's just my personal opinion. Have I gotten better with using an airbrush? Yes. But I didn't get an airbrush to get better at painting. I got an airbrush to get away from rattle cans that are crap quality. We're just going to cover this in, this is Vallejo surface primer. Just want to make sure none of this is visible. And this one, for whatever reason, was in white. All the other ones are like primed in this, well, they're cast in this green color. But we don't want any of these lighter colors here in the shadow because it's counterintuitive. So this is how I would normally do this. Now, yeah, I think I ended up getting this already pre-built. Because the one I had, I didn't put all these sides on there. So I could get in there. Well, I could make this one winterized. And I might just do that. One of them. Well, they're not painted exactly for that battle. I said, I know. But the ones that are all painted for that battle are kind of lackluster. They're a bit generic. So maybe that is what I'll do. Maybe I'll do this one and leave it in white. That way some of that snow got in there. Because I can take this apart, but I think this one came built. Somebody glued this thing together. And it's like a snap kit. It doesn't really need to be glued in there. So that's what we'll do. And we'll find out which one of these has the white turrets. And this is going to get multiple layers of paint. You're probably going to see 5 or 6 layers of paint. And as you add layers, it takes longer and it takes less and less time. The first layer is the one that takes the most, right? So this one's together enough. Okay, let's move this off to the side. Workshop 72, does that mean you do 1/72 scale stuff? That would make sense. Now, if this turret with the antenna is the white one, I'm not going to paint this one. This will be on a green vehicle. So let's be really careful here, because this is kind of delicate. And we're going to, it is. Okay, well, tough. This is not going to be, that's not going to be the white vehicle. We'll do one with the regular turrets. So let's make sure we expand these a little bit more. So that way when we put a turret on here, it goes on there quicker. I don't need to wake up at 5, I'm already up. I woke up earlier than normal, but then I went I went to sleep earlier than normal. Okay, here's a white one, okay? Not that you can see any of those. Here's a white one, that's 2. Come on. Here's a green one. I was moving these things in the garage where they were all in parts. And I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing a piece. So I put them on here and I made the mistake of this reduced the size of the hole just so slightly that it makes it difficult for these things to slide in and out. I don't want them super loose, but I don't want them falling all over the place either. I mean, I don't want them so tight that I go to press this thing down and I'm going to break the machine gun. Okay. So these are all green. And you can see I didn't do a great job airbrushing all of it. It doesn't matter. It's really the primer is there so that the paint you're going to put on it is going to adhere to it. At least in my respect, that's all I'm interested in. Here's another white one. So this should be the white turret. and then we'll do a whitewash on one of them. And if it's not a white turret, then that's the turret that's going to go on there. I got like this grab bag of stuff. So some guy's like, $5, and he just took it all. I'm like, okay. You know, when you see a good deal, you're not worried about, like, is this guy trying to screw me? I'm like, you got a bunch of tanks for like no money, dude. You don't have to worry about it. Man, I'm exhausted now. You know, I got to be careful. I don't grab the wrong thing and break it. Come on. And I don't know why one was cast in white. The one I got was always green. Oh, and it broke off. Okay, well, shit happens. That's why we do this live. You never know what's going to happen. Let's make sure we don't. What's interesting that only one of the large turrets is in white. Did I miss one somehow? There it is. Okay. All right, it's one of the green ones. Sorry, I don't edit any of this shit. You know, I don't have time to watch your videos unedited. Okay, well, I don't have time to sit there and spoon feed you. Fast forward the video. Wait a couple days. Wait for it to come out, and then, you know. I may not remove this small turret. I may just paint it where it is. You just can't. I'm going to leave it like that. And I'm going to leave that one as well. Which one of these is the broken one? Yeah. Dude, it can freaking sit like that. It's not that big of a deal. Put a piece of stickum on it. Okay? Don't let problems get you down. This isn't at work, man. We're not doing this shit for free. All right. While this one dries, I'm going to leave all those pieces together. We're going to grab our Russian green. Okay, really could probably use any color. I'm not going to use my official 4BO because this stuff is super, super wet. It's not good for dry brushing. Russian green was a color that changed a little bit when Vallejo reformulated their paints. And this is it's now called camouflage orange green. It used to be called Russian green. It's still $8.94. And I'm gonna get a little dry brushing pad here. With a piece of cardboard. Now, if you're real good at being sloppy and not precise, this part should be a piece of cake for you. I see you're inspired after your deep dive research. Doing a camouflage pattern? No. No, I'm going to make one of them white, though. Because the inner workings, the one I got, it could all fall apart. But these came glued with the stuff on the sides. I don't want to break it apart and just to get some of the white. You could barely see some of the white in there. So I'm going to make that one a snow one. But yeah, I was inspired by the research. I could do this battle. I'm going to lose this because this is extremely distracting. It makes me think. I've carried some of this black stuff on, and I'm going to end up putting it on my vehicle. Although I'm probably going to be covered in green shit here shortly. I don't know if I'm going to ever find a tank battle with that kind of detail to it. It's actually a little too big. And these are all really crap brushes. Now that doesn't mean I'm inspired to play this battle and learn. But I got to get these things painted anyways. All right, this is 894 Camouflage Olive Green, which is the new Russian green from Vallejo. And all we're going to do is dry brush over it. Now, you don't need an airbrush for this. Can you? I don't know. You probably make it more look better than the real tank does. You're probably just fooling yourself. So we want to leave some black. We want to leave some modulation in there. But the main thing is you kind of want to put everywhere. You want to put the paint everywhere so that when you put the brown wash on, it has something to adhere to. It's not going to adhere well to the primer. You know, if you put a brown wash on black primer, guess what? You can't tell. So I don't necessarily care if this is a little too thick, because it needs to have some thickness to it, otherwise it won't even adhere in the first place. So this is, I'm going to leave this how I would say most people, oh, I dry brushed the tank. I'm like, it doesn't look very good. I said, I know, but I dry brushed it. I'm like, yeah, well, you got to add more levels than that. Can't just throw paint on it. I mean, I guess you could, as long as you're happy with it, but. And I almost said, you're not going to win any awards. I don't care about painting awards. I don't. I'm surprised that so many people do. Because for starters, are you getting an award from somebody who's like really respected? Are you getting an award from Francois Verlinden? Are you getting an award from Plasmo or Night Shift or one of these guys that's like super uber brilliant Kasparov level painter, right? A Kasparov chess level painter. No, you're getting from some dude that volunteered to give you something. It's like, does his opinion really matter? And I encountered that when I went to Historicon. I'm like, all right, I can enter some of my stuff in the painting contest. I think it looks pretty good. Most people think it looks pretty good. It looks better than anything in that category that game's in. I've put a lot of effort into it. And I get some spending money. And I come back and I'm like, oh, so how'd I do? Oh, well, you didn't win. That's because you entered too many things. What do you mean I entered too many things? I entered DBA Army. Well, it's too many figures. I'm like, so 12 stands is too, okay, all right, whatever. And then he's like, going to give me other pointers. And I'm like, look, I don't need to win that bad. Like, it's not that important to me. I need to be happy with it so that I keep doing this, you know, and don't find, you know, something else to take out my frustrations of work on, like, you know, alcoholism or something. So I want to keep going on this for therapy reasons. I don't really need to. I just figured I'd get some spending money. You know, if I had gone to the last hobby show that I went to and entered things in the contest, right, and won platinum. I don't think they even have a platinum, but won all the awards with every single thing and blew everybody else away. Where would I put that shit? I don't care. I don't want that stuff. You know? It's not that important to me. I'd rather just people come out and hang out and watch my channel. That's it. Okay, so this is pretty rough. This is pretty rough. Anybody can do this. We just dry brushed on top of black. Can you prime other colors? Yeah, but you're on your own. Because we've got some deep crevices in here that are really dark in real life, and priming in black solves that problem. Okay? You could also probably paint the entire thing in this color and follow the rest of the steps and have a similar result. It's not going to change that much. But I figured there's an opportunity to go ahead and add these. You know, you've got some areas that are going to be different colors than, you know, it's not like it's a showroom and it's all sprayed one color. You know, because these things come all, now you can see a little bit, it comes in almost the same color green. Premo, made in Russia. Okay? So that's one hole. Yeah, so it's literally, you can do this really quick. The objective is to put paint down the wash will adhere to. That's it. That works right there. Interesting. This one's missing the little shock things on the side. They didn't. Like I said, I'd gotten a grab bag and it was probably missing some stuff. Well, the old motto: I'll buy that for $1, and I did. I got all four of them. And this is pretty much the method I use for painting all of my temperate, so not my snow things. The snow things I actually skip the brown wash. I'm not going to on this one, and I skip it because I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. But we'll see. Yeah, that battle's really pretty interesting. I wish there was that kind of detail of... It almost had too much detail. It almost had too much detail. And I can handle this because it dries really quick. And if some of the paint rubs off, that's fine. We're gonna end up dry brushing other colors on here. Anyways, good morning, Ben. Welcome to Verba. Oh, clevis hook fell off. No, I may or may not glue that on. It's just not that important. I forget what the article said. There was 61 of these tanks, and it seems like about a third of them were actually able to get going at any point. They encountered Germans. The rest of them were just mechanical breakdown issues. Okay, we have all this. We don't care about dry brushing the track. That's going to get a different kind of treatment. Oh, I should have listed on there where I do that. Dry brush main color again. Okay, it goes here. Track. Plus details. And I forgot to put weather. Yeah, it's a lot of steps. They're all easy, but it's a lot of steps. Now, if you're doing Verba, there's no excuse to also do that polar skirmish that was also mentioned. Oh, you mean you want me to get 50 horsemen? Oh, and then I need the dismounts for the 50 horsemen. I'm doing Verba, not Werba. There. Semantics. That's the same reason that technically I could play DBF, but I could not play DBA again and still play DBF. And I don't want to do that shit. It's going to cut into doing this. I don't want to cut into doing this. Last one. This is going to be the white one. Is it still too wet? Might be too wet. We'll punt on that one. I looked at the cheat sheet for DBF, and the first thing I thought of is, if I was to play this, the first thing I'd do is make a photocopy of it, and then go through and draw a line through all elements that aren't historical. Like, I don't give a flaming dick about dragons. You know? You're adding a bunch of noise. Or take the opportunity to use it and play nothing but fantasy stuff with it. Get that Atlantis book that I have and build armies for that. Yeah, no, I'm good. Like I said, I could do it. It'd probably be fun. It's going to cut it. I basically can't do World War II. And I don't know if you could tell, I'm really into this shit. This is my jam. This is the one that broke off. That's all right. We got a special mount for your happy ass. I don't have an 88. Well, I do have an 88, but it's not going to be. It's not going to Russia. It's not going to be gray. But as interesting as that article was, I was rereading it again I think when I was trying to go to sleep. I was rereading it again, and the one thing that it struck me is, at the beginning it said that one tank that was the one that had the markings on it, it said all the tanks had that marking. I'm not doing that. Why build 4 tanks that are painted the same way? So I am going to use 4 tanks. I'm going to use the 4 tanks I have, and I'm going to paint them as other examples. I'm going to do one of them snow. I'm going to do one of them with some kind of markings on it. I haven't decided if it's that one that has. There's one that had just 14 written on the side of it, kind of in a weird place. It's like up here up in this area. It's not on the big side where you could actually see it. Maybe I'll put a slogan on the third one. You know, there's no pictures of slogans, just to kind of mix it up. We're a little ways away from that. And that's it. You can do this without airbrushing it. You're like, ah, this doesn't look very good. You're just slopping the paint on it. Well, I am now. I'm just trying to give this an irregular appearance. It's also going to give it a rough appearance, to a degree. Now, what have we done now? I see some wet spots, but they're on the inside. Let's give this a shot. My dad saw me do this. You're wasting a whole lot of paint doing that. Hey, I don't like to be wasteful, but sometimes you just can't help it. You know, when you're wiping your ass, you're not using every little bit of the toilet paper. There's some toilet paper that you're flushing that's still clean. I'm the first one to admit I don't like to waste things, but sometimes you can't help it. Yeah, these are definitely, we're missing some parts. And, you know, there's like a loop here that I couldn't. Yeah, you just can't, you can't let stuff like that stop you. You're like, would you have bought this thing if you knew it was missing a few things for $1? Yeah, I'd still buy it. Would I have bought those Shermans for that cheap, knowing that I was missing a couple of back plates on them? Probably. But like, for instance, I have that pack of junk stuff that I know some of you guys have seen, right? That stuff that's basically was built by a child and broken by the same child. He like used a hammer on some of those tanks and stuff. And I have an M4A1 in there that's like knocked out. It's in bad shape. Cast iron M4A1. Are all M4A1s cast? Cast? I think they're all cast. Not cast iron, sorry. That's a terminology I use at work for something. Came back on me. But anyways, I've got tracks that if I don't use them for that one, I can use for the other M4A1 that I got from Don that was sitting in his attic, that the track is literally falling apart. Like a mummy. It's just like crumbling. Like, all right, I got another pair of set of tracks that we can replace that with. So there's value in having your own junkyard, so to speak. I don't know what this green thing is. It's right here. I really don't know what it is at all. You know, the article about this battle talked about certain ones have this kind of driving compartment. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to change these driving compartments how they came. It's good enough for me. And I'm not going to paint them all the same or similar. But we do have four of them to use for a battle. They have to be unique. They have to be in a way that I can identify what they are. You know? So whether it's, red star and then another red star no number, red star, 14, another one that's, something else, This one, for instance, this would be red 2607, whatever the guy's that little nickname is, You've been watching for about a week or so. I like making stuff myself. This ain't really my thing, but something about dude working on his 4 a.m. projects I like. Well, whatever it is that you do, and this happened when I had a toddler. I was starting like, man, I don't have time to work on my hobbies. And my hobbies are stress relief, right? Like, I don't drink, basically. And, and it wouldn't solve anything unless I could drink where the stress is happening. And since I can't do that, I don't need to drink at home. So, if you wake up early and do what you want first, it sets the pace for having a good day. It's my yoga, I guess. No, 4 a.m. is kind of extreme. It's usually 5. Yeah, dude, do whatever it is that you want to do, I mean, this just happens to be what I'm doing. It's cheap as hell. All these were $1 a piece. Well, that's extreme, but let's say you bought one of these T-34s for full price. I don't know what they're going for. Let's say it costs you $15. Let's use an extreme example. I don't recommend you buy these T-34s for $15. They're not worth $15. Let's say you bought them for $15, right? How much really does that cost you for the entertainment that you're spending on it? Well, I probably spend at least 15 hours on it. So that's $1 an hour. That's pretty cheap. Now, what you can do is be like the guy that I went to the show, and the guy passed away, and his buddy was selling his stuff because he said he had over 3,200 models unbuilt, unopened. Like, you got a problem. First of all, where do you store all that stuff, right? Because not only are you storing it, it's taking up space, but and I'm not a minimalist, but you can have too much shit. You can have so much stuff that you're looking for one thing in particular and you can't find it because you have so much stuff in its way. So much stuff, I could call it noise. Like, hey, what's this? And your eye goes, what is it? Oh, it's nothing. But it's just running interference for your brain. So you can have too much stuff. And the only time that I bought a lot of things is like, okay, well, this isn't available anymore, or I'm never going to get it for this price, or, oh, if you're going to give it away for free, I'll take it. Because I'll entertain myself in the morning. Maybe one of you guys will see something that you're working on. I'm going to put the white ones by themselves. I'm just afraid if there's any kind of an inkling of white on here, that it'll be on the tank that gets whitewashed. It's a little bit less noticeable. Maybe I'm overthinking that a little bit, but looking at that article, it says most of it is filling in the blanks between the pics. I wonder if the Bundesarchiv has bundles of pics from embedded photographers that you can do the same for other battles and skirmishes. I definitely have too much stuff. I don't know about that. I went to an estate sale, and I'm not going to go to another one because it's really sad. And I've mentioned this before. It was an estate sale. I don't know who these people were. I have a feeling it was an old lady. And she wanted to collect salt shakers. After you have the 250th one, shouldn't a part of you say, this is too many? Now, I don't collect things. I get them, and I do something with them, and then I put them away. So these are Think of these as bottles that I've drank all the liquid out of. I've gotten something out of them. I'm not just like buying shit just to buy shit. And that's fine if that's your hobby. There's worse hobbies to have, like. But I don't understand collecting things and like for instance, you collect toys. All right, cool. Do you take them out of the package? No. Like, okay. I'm like, well, I collect toys too. Oh, really? Where's your collection at? They keep it at Target. It's all nice there in the like. Why even bother getting it? So like, I don't buy anything painted. What's the point? You know? What's the point? These guys are looking good. They're looking kind of rough. I'm going to show you a close-up picture of them on my phone when I'm done. Anybody should be able to, and I say this all the time, and my wife's like, you shouldn't say that. I said, why not? It's true. I don't want people to think on here, I'm like, oh, well, this is Tony's opportunity to brag. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to brag how I can do this, and you guys can too. I've shown you how to do it if you want to. This one in particular is the easy way because not everybody has an airbrush, and I get that. Some people don't want to get an airbrushing, and I don't blame them. I really don't blame them into not wanting an airbrush. It's kind of a pain in the ass. It could be expensive. You may not be any good at it. You won't be any good at it. And it's just a matter of, can you stick with it long enough to fight it and get better? Especially if you buy a cheap airbrush that punishes you for every time you want to clean it. It's exactly the same way as a pistol. It's exactly the same way as a pistol. I use that as an example. You get and the reason I use it as an example is my dad had this target pistol that he handed down, and it punished you to clean it together. It was a Ruger Mark I. Supposedly a very accurate pistol, but it's based on the Japanese Nambu. And the Japanese really didn't come into their own about making reliable shit until after the Second World War. Because their small arms were just a pain in the ass. And this particular type of design, you literally had to hit this thing with a hammer to put it back together. And there's just something wrong about putting something precise like that and having to beat it with a hammer that just kind of just goes against the grain. All right, before I make a mistake. Now, you know what? Nah, I'm going to have a lot of these without the antenna. This one will be green. So that green turret will go with the white vehicle. This green one will stay with the green vehicle. I make knives, and I'm always telling people the same thing. If I can do it, so can you. Yeah, it's not that I'm selling myself short. It is. I have gotten better, and it does take want to do attitude. You gotta want to do it. It doesn't. You're not done in a second. It takes perseverance. So I don't want to do that. Okay, well, there you go. You make knives. That's cool. I'm not into knives. I've never had a pocket knife. I should have a machete though. In case of a zombie apocalypse. Of course, nobody uses a machete in a zombie apocalypse, which is funny because before I ever watched any zombie movies, that'd be the weapon I'd want to have, right? Or one that's like really long. And I think in one show I've seen somebody use a machete. I'm like, what, is there like a rule against using machetes or something? I don't understand it. Yeah, it just takes perseverance. So, about the waking up early, who the hell wants to wake up and go to work? I want to wake up and work on my stuff, and then, oh, well, I guess I gotta make it out to work. But it's been decades since I've woken up and gone, have breakfast and gone to work. I wake up for something I look forward to doing, and going to work isn't one of them. That was kind of loose. We're going to leave that thing alone. All right. So we've got everything. We've got everything dry brushed ish. I'm going to take a photo so you can see how shitty these things look. See if I can get the... You haven't been to bed yet? Oh, man. No, I was asleep by 9:30. So, yeah, I wake up at 4 a.m., but, you know, I'm in bed by 10. Every time. See, I'd have to wake up at... if I didn't do this, I'd have to wake up at 6 anyways. So I'm just waking up an hour earlier to do what I want to do. All right. So, you know, I didn't do a really good job on that. Doesn't matter. I actually want it to look like that because it's just a place for the wash to adhere. Now, you don't want to apply the wash right now because in the process of applying the wash, you're going to end up wiping some of it off. It invariably happens. How did I find that out? The hard way, doing it. Okay? So we're going to sit these guys off to the side a little bit. These are the ones that are the white vehicle. Which is the white vehicle? This one? All right. Maybe we can do them in reverse order. Let's give it a shot. What's the worst thing that could happen? I have to do this step again? Whoop-dee. All right. We're going to use... I need to use up some of these things. I got lots of these. That's something else I need to use up. I need to use up some of these old... I don't know how much of this I have. This is retarder. Okay, that's all the retarded things up there. Strong tone, that's the black replacement. All right, we got... no, strong tone is not the black replacement. Dark tone is. Okay. We'll put it up here. What are you doing up here? Chocolate brown. Back in the chocolate brown land. Okay. This is light tone. This is the Tony's 3 tones over here. Soft, mid, and light. Okay, these are the dripping colors. What's this one? Dark. That's the one I just put up here. Okay. So we're good. This is all we have then, right? We just have these 4 bottles. All right. I need to kill those ones that are low. Actually, this one's... Oh, this one's different. War Paints Fanatic. Strong tone. Oh, shit. I wonder if it's different. You know, go and... I just bought this one the other day. I hope it's the same tone. Anyways, we need to kill some of these that are like almost half empty. So we're going to grab a different brush. If I have too much of something, it's brushes. I have a lot of oh no. Look, I forgot a turret. Well, go back to doing the damn turret. Yeah, I can't do this into the wee hours. That's the problem with doing it assembly line. Assembly line, you're a lot more efficient, but you also like skip shit accidentally. All right, man. Don't forget to subscribe. That way you can get notified. Yeah, and because this was wet. Now this is wet. Well, it won't make that much of a difference. Fanatic Range is the reformulated version. Is it okay? Is it okay? Fanatic range? Why do they always got to reformulate shit? Oh, there's something I had to say to you, Barnes. It just I came across something. I thought about it in the middle of the day yesterday. Oh, I when we were on the other night, the other evening, you mentioned something about. I was talking about cops, and then I saw your comment after I went on. It's like literally like I signed off, and as I'm signing off, your comment comes up because there's a little bit of a delay, and you said there's hardly any cops in the UK. There is a major problem with cops here. They're everywhere. They're everywhere, and that's fine as long as they mind their own fucking business. And the problem is they frequently don't. You know, they have to justify their existence. And I'm not anti-cop unless they get nosy. Because I'm like not doing anything I shouldn't be, but I don't like being questioned. I really don't. Like, and yeah, there's way too many cops here. Especially in this area around me. All right. So maybe I need to move to Britain. I've literally been. I used to go across the. I used to bring my lunch to work, and wouldn't eat it there. I'd go across the street under the shade tree, park under my car, watch YouTube, whatever. And I've had cops on separate locations. You know, I'm in a shade tree by myself, kind of in an open field. There's one tree. It's kind of obvious why I would be under the fucking tree as opposed to anywhere else. And cops come up to you. You all right? What you doing here? Like, well, what the fuck are you doing here? Getting mad thinking about them. So, I pull people's records. There really should be a market for vigilante services. I'm just saying. The Fanatic range is supposedly the best available at the moment. Not heard much about the various shade paints. Well, we're going to test it. We're not going to test it right now. We're going to use up these wash things. I don't mind with them coming up with other colors. What I mind is we don't make this anymore that you're happy with. We now make it with this. And then it's, you know, they pull a Games Workshop and it's not as good. I've been told a neighbor had a visit from 4 carloads a few weeks ago. I don't know what that means. It's lost in translation. A neighbor of yours had a visit from cops 4 times? 4 carloads. Or did you get 4 carloads of these paints? I hate activist cops. You know? And that's the only problem I have with the police. Got raided by the sounds of it. Yeah. Well, I mean, you come raid here. I mean, you want to look at freaking tanks and shit like that, you know? So there are a lot of cops in the UK. They're just all at this one guy's house. Yeah, I just don't want to be questioned. Because who's questioning me? Corrupt politicians? You know, dirty cops? Like, you know, I got nothing to hide, man. If I was already going to get in trouble, I wouldn't have waited until I was 53. You know what I mean? So we're just going to give this this dark tone wash, which at the time when I did this one, I was using Agrax Earthshade. But Agrax Earthshade changed their formula. And it got shitty. Well, I don't jump ship on a product because I find some other product. I jump ship on a product because the product you were making isn't good anymore. You guys changed the formula and wanted to cut corners, or whatever reasoning you had. You had something that I liked, and now it doesn't work as well. Now I got to be careful with this. This is an extremely cheap brush, and because of that, it sheds. And you don't want one of these asshole bristles getting stuck onto your wash, onto your. It's more like a varnish than anything else. Yeah, so you don't have very many cops. We're all with this neighbor's house. Yeah, that's the only problem I have with the police. I've never done drugs. You know, I just, you know, I only shoot people violently in video games. I commit all my crimes on the on the on the computer. Like you come question me after you've gotten rid of all the problems in this society. Oh, there still are some. Why are you messing with me? That's why when I got my windows tinted, what kind of tint you want? I said legal. I do not want cops fucking with me. It's not worth it. Okay, there's one. Next one. I think Army Painter had to reformulate to catch up the likes of AK. Well, I can't keep up with AK. I can't. You know, AK and Ammo MiG, and you know, they're together, now they're apart, they're divorced, they're at odds. This guy's stealing from me, this guy pulled my ear. You know, I can't keep track of all the childhood drama that goes in between all those. Okay, I think this one's officially kaput. And I lost my garbage pail that's over there. I might find out I need to get some of this today. AK makes enamels. Sometimes you're not. Like Tamiya, okay? I was a fan of Tamiya paint way back when. Because it's like, you know, we had like Floquil and Poly-S and things like that. I'm like, oh, the Tamiya paint, you know, the Tamiya bottle design isn't great, but it's better than like the Floquil stuff I was used to having. Anything that's like a glass bottom with like a crimped metal top with that little like cardboard condom thing. You know what I'm talking about? That's not worth a shit, right? It always leaks and creates a mess, and you have a jam session every time you want to have to open it. The Tamiya one is better than that. Plus, it's the top of it's molded in the paint color, and it's pretty damn accurate. So I was a fan of it. But now I've left Tamiya and things like that for 20, 25 years, almost 30 years. And, you know, now they've got lacquer, they've got the original. I don't know if they even have the original formula anymore. You know, but it was like water cleanup. It wasn't a water-based paint. It was like an alcohol-based paint, which you can clean your brushes with water. That's what I want. I don't want to use thinner to clean my brushes. And I don't even know what it is. And people that airbrush are like borderline, some of them are borderline dickhead about, oh, you got to use enamels or you're doing it wrong. I'm like, it's not the 1980s anymore. I'm not using enamels, okay? That's a pain in the ass. If you don't like the products I'm using, guess what? Don't use them. Not sponsored by anybody. You know? I ain't using enamels. How much enamel thinner am I going to go through cleaning an airbrush? I don't know, but it's freaking costing me freaking money. That's like buying bottles of air. You ever have one of those airbrushes where you had to buy canned air? Oh, there's a moneymaker. You think the guy that came up with bottled water is making a killing? How about the guy that's bottling air? Okay, there's that one. This is the white one, doesn't matter. We're still going to give it this treatment. Catch up with AK. What did AK do? Was Mig Jimenez holding AK back? I watched a video on one time and what it is. Like, man, there's a whole lot of childhood drama between. I'm not picking sides, but let's just say everywhere that guy goes, he creates controversy. I don't know what that means, but I'll tell you what it means when you go somewhere and you have a job and every 6 months you got to leave to go to another job. You might be the problem. You can't be like, every employer I come across with is a pain in the ass. At some point, it's on you. So with that said, I've got AK stuff. I have Ammo MiG stuff, and then it's Ammo MiG, but that Ammo MiG isn't the last one because he now started another company. I'm like, oh my god, it's bad enough with Vallejo that they came up with all the colors. I had all of them. Oh, now we have these Panzer colors that have these. They're sometimes referenced in Flames of War paint guides. I'm like, all right, well, is Tommy Gun brown the same color as beige brown? Or is it different? I don't know. It's close enough. And then I think those have been discontinued now. So it's like, it's exhausting. It's just paint, man. And I don't know anything about the Humbrol colors or Life Color. I've seen some people like, oh, I use Life Color. This you won't find that in a store here in the United States. Might be the best stuff since sliced bread, but it doesn't make it here. I just got Vallejo way back when because it was the first thing I ever saw in these droppers. The dropper is the key. But now lots of people make droppers. They didn't before. They were the only ones that made them. And then Army Painter and, other people followed suit. But now that I have the Kuram formula, I am more likely to buy paint that hand paints well, and I have to thin to use it in airbrush, than use airbrush paint that's good out of the bottle for airbrushing, and then have a problem if I want to ever touch it up with hand painting. Because what the Kuram guy did was it made me thin every paint. So if I have to thin every paint, I don't really care whether I'm using a paint that can work directly out of the airbrush, but I'm going to thin it anyways. It doesn't matter to me. Now, I bet all the alligator clips are outside, aren't they? Nope, there's a few here. I love it. Now, we need an alligator clip hangout spot. Or maybe not. Yeah, I'm not going to make those paint videos that are all edited like other people do. It reminds me of this driver that I had that worked for me. He would complain, man, I need hours. So you give him hours. We're not working him 90 hours. We're just giving him, so he gets overtime. Oh, man, you're working me too hard. All right, so you dial him down to 40. Oh, I'm not getting enough hours. So this guy basically wanted you just to pay him to sit at home. Like, I don't have time to watch your video. We'll just friggin' fast forward it, man. I don't have time to do that. Okay, well, fuck you. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna make things for me, and if it works for other people, that's cool. But I can tell you, the worst thing I can do is take my hobby and it create frustration for me. That's the wrong direction. If this hobby is creating actually, if any hobby is creating frustration for you, you need to find another hobby. Unless you've got a carefree life, you got no frustration in your life. But I don't think that's the case for most of us. So yeah, I woke up early. Like, let's go on because I can't do an all dayer. I got to take the car for a service. And even though those slackers don't wake up really early, it still means I'm going to have a hard stop at about 7:30, whether I want it or not. So that gives me another hour and a half to get some stuff done. I think Marcus got deported to Mexico. That's why he couldn't make it back from California. Marcus, where art thou? So I did do a little bit of research into Japanese surnames. So I now got a list of potential Japanese surnames whenever I work on some Japanese figures, which I have actually a fair amount to do. And I'll be damned if I don't like them all. Between the ones from that Marcus sent me that would look really cool, that are soft plastic, and the Dave Alsop castings from Combat Miniatures. There's some really cool figures out there for the Japanese. But I think if I spin it, like, okay, I can use these same Japanese for 1941, 42, and 44 and 45, all in the Philippines. That's kind of cool. Now you just need some Filipino colonial buildings. I've got that jungle outpost from Airfix built. And I didn't realize that was a really hard to find thing. I ended up getting that unbuilt for $8 or something. And I built it. I haven't done anything with it. It seems like a fair model. It's all fun and games till Hago bumps into it and knocks the thing down. Drunk Hago driver. Aka. Well, the problem is that's too famous of a last name. So like I went through and I figured most common last names, right? So one of them is Yamamoto. I'm not going to have a Yamamoto. There's a history of Yamamoto. That makes it look like I didn't have any originality and just name somebody after Yamamoto. So yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have that Takashita. That's a common last name, and we're going to have fun with that. So anybody that's named after somebody really famous, even if they have even if they have a common name, I'm not going to use their common name. Like I'm not going to have a Nagumo or a Yamamoto or a. Well, that's it. That's all the ones I know. What do I have? Suzuki. There's a Suzuki. Suzuki's a common last name, and so is Hasegawa. Nakamura, Kobayashi. I'm not going to have a Kobayashi. There's too many things. Ogawa. That's another commander. Can't have an Ogawa. Yoshida. Yamaguchi. Sounds like somebody's got, man, why is that guy itching so bad? Oh, he got the case of the Yamaguchi. Yamaguchi, hoochie, hoochie. There's Uno. Uno's one of them. Uno's going to be the sniper. This sniper named Uno. I didn't have a sniper. Marcus sent me a guy that looks really cool. There's a lot of those figures are really cool, and it's kind of nice that I just was totally dismissive 5 years ago. Totally dismissive of plastic figures. Like they're not worth a shit. / the paint doesn't stick to them, and the paint not sticking to them, jury's still out on that. I'm a bit concerned that may be an issue down the line, but the castings on them are definitely good. I'm getting ready for a Takeshita. Make sure you don't have too much rice. That's the guy that invented them fancy toilets they have in Japan. Formula One toilets. I've heard stories about those things. Hold on, lady. We're going for a ride. And I think I have a Japanese bunker already. Like it's not painted, but I got the thing for it. I just don't want to do like Saipan or Okinawa or Iwo Jima or any of those damn lagoon with these Japanese with limited support weapons, surrounded by complete and total air power and naval gunfire. Like, it just doesn't interest me at all. It sounds good on paper, and then you get to do it. And the only advantage would be like you get everybody to play Marines, or like get somebody to play. Like the Japanese would probably be just fine for NPCs, right? Because they're just going to do, or at least we think they would do, things that are very linear. But is that really the case? So that was the part I hate. You gotta wait for this shit to dry. And this stuff, unfortunately, takes a while to dry. But after this, we would take the same green that we just dry brush and dry brush over it. And then we would lighten it with dark sand. Thank you, Sonic Sledgehammer. I believe that's who it was. I gotta look and see. I think he was. I saw a video of his 3 years ago, or whatever, how to do Shermans, and I'm like, all right, this is what we're gonna do, because I didn't want to like do a bunch of tanks wrong and like change. And all of them have had a brown wash. I would not have come up with a brown wash on my own. I would not have. I have no history of using a brown wash on anything. So that was instrumental. And then he highlighted it by mixing the color with dark sand, not white, which is what I would have done, and then would have looked too chalky. So, and then other stuff I added on my own, but The meat and potatoes is I don't know that he dry brushes on top of black. I think that one was my own doing as well. But it's okay to take things from other people. You just got to give them credit. I'm not the world's expert on everything, but there's some things that I've done or turned out okay. So while we're waiting for this to dry, and what I'm going to do with the white one, I'm going to paint it like it's hand painted. So it's going to look kind of rough, and we're actually going to use this white material like what it's supposed to be used for, which is not what I've been using for, which is just to use it as white paint. And I may like how it looks, I may hate it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and black line this tank while I'm waiting for it. Now this thing's already been sealed and based. I don't care. These are going to have the black lining on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm prepared to seal this thing again. Now, we did loosen this thing up. So we have these turrets that are removable, because you're going to want to remove them when you seal them. Yeah, see, this is exactly how it should be. It's loose enough that you can just pull these things out. And and it has no drippings on it either. I'm going to take this brush that's really soft and make sure there's no of this grass, which I've not been adding the grass itself on the infantry figures. And I'm probably going to continue not adding it on the infantry figures. All right, now let's get a brush of extreme competence. So what do we have left? We have a little bit here, and we have a little bit here, and then we have the new formula. So now we're going to do the part that I turn everybody off and run them away from. And how are we doing on null oil? Have we killed almost all this stuff? So I need to focus on killing this stuff. Here's a wee bit of the null oil. Hayashi. Kimura. And I think this is one of the best things you could do to make all these details pop. Now, does it take a long time? You betcha. But I think it's worth it. So why is the Pacific not as popular? I personally think it's one of those reasons that I mentioned that a lot of the attention it gets is those island hopping campaigns, and I'm just really not interested in all that stuff. It's too one-sided. I mean, you've got Guadalcanal, but like the problem with Guadalcanal is that Marines are on Guadalcanal are not equipped like regular Marines are. They didn't have Garans and stuff like that. So you'd have to get special Marines that were for Guadalcanal. I think New Guinea is fairly popular. I think New Guinea is probably more popular than Burma. There's a Japanese wrestler called Dick Togo that's being used as a name for one of my Japanese generals. Dick Togo. Little Dick Togo. Maybe I'll try to suffer through and watch that 800 movie while I'm waiting for my car to get worked on. It might be a bit unsufferable. I started watching it. It was like the dubbing was horrendous. You know, it was like these Chinese guys are like walking through a field of wheat, and the dubbing is so bad. It's like, hey Tony, you want to grab a pizza later? I don't know. It's yeah, I don't know about that, guys. You know, it's like that's not what somebody from Asia sounds like. So I much prefer the actual recording in a language I don't understand and just give me subtitles, because I'm going to put the subtitles down anyways. I don't watch anything without subtitles. Except other people's YouTube videos. I don't generally put subtitles on those. But they're usually loud enough. And the subtitles on YouTube videos are inaccurate sometimes anyways, so. Dick Togo. Is he a wrestler or is he a sumo guy? Is there any kind of wrestling in Japan that's not sumo? Because if there is, it's not getting a lot of promotion. How we doing? Oh yeah, we're wet. Let's see, what is it? 6:15. We'll be lucky if we can do that at 7. But it's got to be done. Pro wrestler. Actually, technically, his name is Togo Dick, right? Because they flip the two things. They do a lot of amateur wrestling and tons of pro wrestling. They don't be silly like in America though, with pregnancies and monsters. They do pregnancy in American wrestling? I don't watch any of that stuff. First of all, it's preordained. It's figured out how it's gonna. So that alone, like, I'm not watching it. Like, I'm not. It's just a TV show in front of a live audience. I can't believe you Europeans would watch American wrestling. I don't know anything about wrestling. I'm from the South, but I'm not Southern. Now, the only bad stuff about this is it has a little bit of a gloss. Or it can. We've seen your NASCAR bottle with the airbrush. Huh? What are you talking about? I literally never watched NASCAR. I've watched Formula One. I haven't even raced in video games NASCAR. Fucking oval. Stupid. I had a coworker that was really into wrestling, or at least he said he was. Like, dude, it's staged. I'm not saying those guys are, not badasses, but they act like children, and it's preordained how things are going to turn out. And it's like some serious, way over the top acting, like it makes the Hallmark Channel seem realistic. The jug you clear the brush with has some NASCAR guy on it. No, 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 no. That's Arnold Palmer. I do watch as much golf as I do NASCAR, though. It's Arnold Palmer, which is half tea, half lemonade. I haven't bought one of those in a long time, but man, that's a big jug. Yeah, it's Arnold Palmer. Arnold Palmer. My mom has trouble saying that. UK had a really good professional wrestling scene from the 1960s and 80s to national TV on Saturday afternoon. Only way I'd watch wrestling is if it wasn't staged and it was just really hot girls. Not ones that were like, could kick my ass. Okay? And I'm not saying I couldn't get my ass kicked by a girl. I'm just not saying that I don't want any of those girls that, could built like a dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not into that. I'll be right back. I need to get another hit of Coke. Arnold Palmer. I'll try to make a point of showing you that bottle next time I'm out there. The jug. Yeah, look up Big Daddy. He was our national hero. I will do that. It was, just as now, what one would call scripted reality. Yeah, it's just dumb. That part of it is like, why even bother watching it? You know? Like, why even cheer? Like, like, it's already going to happen whether you're there or not. Big Daddy. I better be, that's one of those search terms that I better be careful with. Big Daddy UK wrestler. Ain't that big when you got Mountain Man. Big Daddy versus Giant Haystacks. Is that what the big guy's called? Wow. Born in Halifax. Okay, I didn't know there was a Halifax in the UK. I thought the only Halifax was. Oh my God, he's 6'6". That other guy's freaking massive. Huh. I like those Mexican lucha libre masks. When I went to Mexico, I'm like, man, I'd pick one of those up if it had like a black eagle or something like that on it. Because, that's a gold mask with a black eagle on it or something like that. I'm not wearing one of them jumpsuits, though. You could turn the wrong people on. Still won't be as hot as Mitch's feet, but there's a lot of giant haystacks. I hated this wrestling on TV. My wife's family watched it religiously. They never realized how fake it was. Morons. That is the reality of it is. Let's say you're not into it, which I'm not into it. But, these people, there's some big fucking dudes. Like, he's. But staged? Why? Why? Why even have it staged? There's some absolutely lovely lucha masks. There's some pretty cool ones. I remember witnessing a live bout in the mid-'70s with two girls. Oh, you had me at two girls. One was called Mitzi the Mauler. Oh, the two girls were called... Okay. I thought you were with two girls. Sorry. We'll make sure your wife doesn't find out that in the 70s you were with two girls. One was called Mitzi the Mauler, whose name made one of my D&D characters. Mitzi. That sounds like somebody from Vegas. If you had to wear a lucha mask, which one would it be? Here's the thing, okay? That reminded me of old, what's his name? Jack Black. Jack Black is not funny. He's that movie that he made, whatever it was called, Nacho Grande, right? I watched a preview of it. That's about when I started realizing I'm not watching any more previews. The preview for that movie was solid gold. That could have been a really funny movie. And I'm like watching the movie and I'm like, it is just has too much like lack of, everything was there for that to be hilarious. And it was like after 15 or 20 minutes, I'm like, I think it was one of those that I watched with my wife. We had rented it and we're like, we're not watching this again. Like this isn't funny. This is not funny. What lucha mask would you wear? Lucha masks. We gotta wait for this shit to dry anyways. Lucha mask designs. I don't like the ones that... Mil Máscaras shark mask. Okay. Mil Máscaras shark mask. But you didn't know we were going to talk about this morning. Oh, that's kind of cool. Very typical... God, it's got to be hot as shit. Very typical Mexican type colors. Sounds like you've been eyeing that thing. You went right to it. You knew exactly what it was. Yeah, a lot of them are pretty cool. As long as they're not too creepy. Well, none of these are creepy, but you know, I got a problem with creepy masks. Like, you know, satanic looking demonic shit. Like, no. Here's an interesting one. Looks like it's just shaped for a ball gag. Just saying, you know. Oh, we went to Mexico. They had those things everywhere. They had those things everywhere. And here's the problem with this black lining is, and many times it takes two coats. So something that's even longer, something that takes a long time takes an even longer time. How are we doing here? Still, that one's starting to settle a little bit. Yeah, if we can't do the next step till tomorrow morning, we can't do the next step till tomorrow morning. Yeah, the whole stage thing, like, why even bother, you know? Why even bother? What if they have I wonder if they have Mexican midget wrestling. I bet they probably do. They got some little people in the Yucatan. Little people. Like under 4 foot tall people. And they're like fully grown. And they're not midgets. That's just, you know, that's their DNA. That's that Mayan DNA. And when I went to the UK, I was floored by how many tall people there were. Like I go places, I don't know, I'm 5'11" and shrinking. We're all shrinking. Oh, 5'10". I've never, if I go somewhere and I feel like short, like there's some tall fuckers around. Because I don't go around every day and feel like, you know, diminutive. Right? And man, there were some tall people in the UK. Like a lot of people like over 6'2". Keminoto. They do. Keminoto. Oh, here we go. He's going to send me the direct link. What? Oh, man. Oh, well. It's difficult to come up with some original stuff on your own. Somebody's already come up with it, you know? Gonna send you a short clip of Mexican mixed wrestlers. You tell me it isn't the most Mexican thing ever. Orale chingón! No mames. Oh man. You know what though? I can deal without having Mexican food again. It just no thanks. Same thing with Chinese food. I don't want to have Chinese food again. I'd rather have mushy peas. The mushy peas weren't bad. I'm just wondering why are they mushy? Like, dude, like, pull them out. So when I went to Spain, I was surprised about how many people like that were there. And then I'm like, it makes sense. I mean, they can go over there and speak the language. There's more jobs. I'm sure it's better to find a job in Spain than it is in Mexico. It's the dancing ladies in the back with the midgets in the cars that just makes it. So if you think that that they have unusual people on television here in the United States, when you go and you watch some of this Latin American programming, they have some spectacularly hot women on those things, and they have them in that country, but it is like the 1%. It's not like they're everywhere. Well, I live in a college town, or used to live in a college town, so kind of used to it a little bit, but dancing with midgets. You think yesterday's mushy peas is causing my Takashita problem. So before getting all cozy with you Brits, and I'm cozy with you guys are my people. I don't have anything against people from the old country. I've gotten over 1588. You guys got rid of that curly hair, red haired bitch. Oh, man. But, anyways, because I interact with you guys all the time, you know? Way back when, in the days of the miniatures page, last kid, I'll have to check it out afterwards. I promise I will definitely check it out. I might even share it with somebody that I live with. Back in the days of the miniatures page, when I go on the miniatures page every morning religiously, one of the problems I always heard about you people from the other side of the pond is the issue of going to the bathroom after curry. Always. Now, I am a curry fan. I do like curry. I don't have it very often, and I've never had that problem with curry. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that, but I've always heard you have too much curry, and that's the Taco Bell equivalent of you got stuck sorting my 15 millimeter backlog mountain dwarf planet. Well, I'm more I'm more likely to paint something that is not World War II and just not get involved in playing it than I am likely to get involved in playing DBF with figures I already have. I don't know if I explained that properly. I don't have a huge interest in learning another set of rules that is more DBA-ish. That does that kind of thing. Like, I'd be more likely to paint a fantasy army for DBF. Okay, I'm not saying I'm going to do that, or that's even on the horizon, or that's ever even going to happen. But I think that's more likely than I am to learn how to play DBF with figures that I have. Like, yeah, it's just not going to provide that. The game isn't going to provide the kind of narrative that I'm gonna want it to provide. I think that stems from IBS being quite common in some areas here. So the garlic, onion, and other hard to digest ingredients hit us like smallpox hit the natives. IBS. I didn't realize that garlic and onion were difficult to digest. I just figured it was the spices, like well, curry has a lot of different things in it. What the stuff that's in it? Yeah, I don't like bland food. So, Indian food is not bland. However, we made the mistake to go into a traditional Indian restaurant, say 2 years ago, and the menu is in English, and I didn't know what the fuck I was ordering. And I've had curry many, many times, but I need fucking pictures. Like, show me the picture, and the only thing I'm really picky about is I don't want to eat animal parts that I'm like, or animals that there's some animals I just don't want to eat. Like, I'm not interested in eating goat. I don't really care for sheep. I can deal with not eating meat if I have to. But like some stuff, like I don't know what it is. You know? I looked at this and I'm like, it was like it's chicken. Okay, well, is it deboned? Does it have it on the bone? Does it have, the head still on it? And obviously, I'm going to an unrealistic extreme, but I just have no idea. I've always had, like, my favorite place to have Indian food, for instance, is on a cruise ship. Every cruise I've been on, the main galley crew is from India or Pakistan or somewhere in that area, right? And they always have this little area that I call Indian Corner because they always have their food in this one area. And I go there first because it's not going to be bland. It doesn't hit me like weird. It's just as the kitchen that cooks it is just as clean as if you're eating steak because it's the same kitchen. So that's the place where I don't mind having Asian food, is having one of those. Because, like, for instance, there's this one place in town that I don't know how they're still in business. It's called Golden Buddha. And if you drive by there and it's open, the door is always open. I don't care if it's 110 degrees outside. The front door to that place is propped open. And you look at it on the inside and I'm like, it's probably so the roaches can come in and come out. I'm like, I wouldn't dare eat something within a block of that place. Sometimes bland food. Soda crackers. I don't have digestion problems yet. But I have noticed that if I eat cottage cheese, which I have every morning with fruit, that's my breakfast of choice now. That is not lactose free. My stomach wants to have a say in things. I don't feel bad. It's just like, it's like a run-on sentence of, stomach burps. It's like, shit, this 50s suck. Never had that before. Doesn't make me go to the bathroom. If something made me go to the bathroom, like, I wouldn't eat it. Like, that's inconvenient. If you get Maggi sauces over in Florida, try to pick up the sweet and spicy sauce. It's absolutely lush. This stuff is the best stuff. Let me see if I have this. I don't know about cooking, but I know about eating. This is good on everything. Well, except ice cream. Momofuku chili crunch, and it's freaking amazing. And it's spicy, but produced for Momo Orchard Holdings. Somebody told me that Momo meant dumbass or tard or something like that in Japanese. I don't know that it does. Made in the USA. Stir up and use on eggs, noodles, and all your favorite dishes. This stuff is great. Anyhow. And you can just get it at a regular grocery store. You said that brand, Maggi. Maggi is something I associate with bouillon for Spanish food. I've seen it before. Like, it's got a chicken or a cock on the logo of it, if I remember correctly, or it used to. Yeah, I don't cook, but I go grocery shopping. Which one is it? Maggi salsa? Sweet and spicy. I hate that sweet and spicy stuff that they have at Chinese places that's like magenta. You know which one I'm talking about? It's like a magenta slime. Like, I don't know what the hell's in that, but that's not from this planet. How we doing? Still too wet. Now, it's going to have to be a project for not this morning. No, it's sriracha's different. Sriracha's different. Yeah, no, that one does have a cock on it. I think they even call it cock sauce. No rude thing intended. That's literally what they call it. Which we're low on that actually. That's really good too. No, let me see. It's like red, yellow, and green. It's like Rastafarian colors, if I remember correctly. Let's see. Yeah, that's what I recognize it as. It's like beef bouillon. Here we go. Oh, and it's tied in with a Nor one as well. Why are you asking me about all this shit? Yeah, it's some kind of Latin. At least this Magi is some kind of Latin. I giggled like a schoolgirl, and my dog looked at me with shame in his eyes. Yeah, here it is. Oh, this has got like some Arabic. This is, I guess it's worldwide. Yeah, that's what I've seen in the store. Magi. It's like somebody's nickname or something. Little Marge or something like that. All right, let's see what this one is. Sauce, sweet, and spicy. Hot and sweet tomato. Something like this, maybe? If it's sweet chili, I'd like it. Oh, you think they're from Indonesia or Malaysia originally? Okay. I thought they were always Latin American, but my mom had a friend whose name was Maggie. So I just kind of put that in the same box. Hot and sweet. Okay. We'll be on the lookout for it. That Momofuku stuff, I need to try that with fries. Yes, I mean fries, not chips or crisps or crumpets or whatever you. Crumpets or trumpets. I didn't know scones were a British thing. I was always wondering where these brittle ass fucking old bread came from. We had some scones when we were in Britain. I'm like, the bread needs to have more taste to it, and the fruit needs to be like, doesn't need to be sweeter. Anybody ever bought banners from War Games Designs directly? Not the one that they're on eBay all the time, aren't they? And they've got like a bunch of like Welsh and Irish and Scottish stuff that may or may not be historically accurate. War Games Designs Flags. Let's see what we got. See if it's the one I'm thinking of. Let's go to medieval Britain. What do we got here? Let's do the Welsh. Why not? Yeah, it's the ones I'm thinking of. No, but they sell on eBay. There's only 2 people in Britain that I've had a bad experience with, and that wasn't one of them. But I haven't ordered from them before, and I'll say this again: I've had better service from people from Britain than the United States, and that's before COVID. Because COVID's like a restart on everything. Like everything sucks. Like everybody's shitty and comes up with excuses. Like, oh, we're out of that. We don't make that anymore. We don't feel like it. You know? Yeah, I've seen them on eBay. I've seen them on eBay. I like painting my own flags, so I'd probably likely lift one of their designs and repaint it. Lift it like, copy it and then photocopy it and then, do something or get an idea from it. I love painting flags. Like, I don't want a pre-painted flag. It's like, man, you're taking all the fun out of it. The best flags out there are Pete's flags. Pete's flags are insanely good looking. At least for 15 millimeter stuff. I'm sure there's all kinds of other makers for different, but the Pete's flag stuff that I've got is just, I don't think I could paint it that well. What's currently nice is a current tea cakes toasted a little too long, then slavored in butter. You are a sconus man. Some are scone, and for us Scots, it's complicated by the place name Scone, which is pronounced Scoon. Scoon. Are you done? Are you done with your scoon? Scones. I was going to try that out. Maverick Guy's flags. I think he does fabric ones too. I need a load of Habsburg flags. Just got an order from Pete's Great. Yeah, his stuff is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I have them on my. I got Habsburg and French and my 1500 stuff. Yeah, he's superb. He's got that Condata guy that, what is it? Malatesta, which sounds like somebody that's got... Somebody whose last name is Malatesta sounds like he can't have kids. He's shooting blanks. But anyways, he's that Contodieri that has the elephant. He was not very successful. I've got his like history in one of the books or whatever. He's basically a fuckwad, dude. Not very good. Maverick Guy flags. I've never heard of that. He does cloth ones? Probably for 28s, not for 15s, right? That's... You ever watch a historical film? I'm sure you have. And they go and they cast they cast somebody that you have an interest in seeing how they get portrayed. And they go and cast somebody who's like, why the hell did they cast that guy? That is totally the wrong cast for that. Like I was watching some... I personally can't stand when they cast an actor that's famous in a role that could have been anybody. Or that somebody just... They can't do the freaking accent of the country that they're trying to... Like, look, I understand you're going to speak English, right? But, you're from Russia or something like that. So make like a Russian-ish accent or something. Just like, no, I'm just going to talk in a normal voice or whatever. Like, and I'm not talking about Death of Stalin. That was one I'm thinking, Italian or something like Dustin Hoffman. Like, Dustin Hoffman plays one of these, I think it's Dustin Hoffman, plays in one of these things where he plays the Pope or something like that. And I'm like, dude, put an effort in, Maverick Flag Guy. Let's see. Maverick. I get all this Maverick basketball team shit. Maverick Flag War Game. Maverick Models. Flags. Oh, Renaissance. Okay. Spanish cavalry flag. What do we got here? Oh, hopefully it's shaded more than that. That's like straight colors. Like you need to have some like wear and tear on it. Yeah. I got some of those from Signifer I never used. The Fuggers. You damn Fugger. Yeah, I got a Fugger flag on. See how they did the front of the bird. Gallery. Oh, they look good here. Yeah, they look pretty good. You'd look from that drawing and be like, man, I don't want that. That's just like straight colors. There's like no shading or sketching or anything like that on it. You can choose a plain or a shaded version. And the World War II section also does... I got to be careful. We can't pick any of them National Socialist posters. I don't want to get into trouble. Indian Mutiny. Nothing says propaganda posters like Germany. Look at what we got here. 40 pence. That's cool. Pacific War. Oh, that's the Pacific War of the 1860s. Like Chilean battalion. What the hell's a Battalion Aconcagua? Russia propaganda poster. I want a poster with fucking Stalin on him. Dickhead. Just like I want a poster with Hitler on him. Fuck him too. This is a cool one. Alright, so I've had kind of a minor incursion with this stupid game called Cards. That's, I don't use real money to play it. It's basically World War II magic. And the reason why I played it is because I played it in the last week. Is because the artwork in it is beautiful. There's some beautiful artwork on those cards. And a lot of it is stuff that you guys have probably seen before, but it's all like in one place. They've got this B-25 bomber that comes up on one of the screens that has like a blue head like a parrot. And it's just absolutely beautiful. And just like that, there's most of the artwork in that is really, really attractive. Cards spelled with a K. Stupid Magic the Gathering. What do you call that? That other... Blizzard does one too. But at least with that game, you don't have to shuffle cards. Like, it just freaking does it for you. But the artwork on a lot of that is... And that poster with the... Getting stabbed by the bayonet, the lion getting stabbed by the bayonet is one of the... It reminded me of that. Really nice artwork. Now look how many rivets are on the side of this thing. And yes, every one of those is going to need to have a little black dot around it. It's just going to take time. It'll look wonderful when you're done, though. All right, we got this done. Got this done. We need to go around this spare track. They do flags and posters inside 6 mil? That's a bit small, 6 mil poster. You know, you could make your own, but that takes time. You know, you have to resize things and print it, and hopefully it comes out okay, and you know. Now, I did my French commercial signs on my buildings. I just downloaded those off the internet. You want to make it darker? Add another layer of it. Most Mexican thing. I wonder what you think the most American thing ever is. This country's too damn big. There's too many different. Something that would apply to New York City would not apply here. I think the posters must be 6 mil top to bottom. The flags are scaled for the size of the figures. Well, those I just probably is that war flag still around? That was a cheap place to get flags. Cheap because they were free. Just download them and print them. I like downloading art and then putting it on Excel. I'm really familiar with Excel. And then you've got like this graph paper that you can kind of, you know, scale by looking at it. You can kind of estimate about what size it's going to be when it comes out. I don't know if I sealed this because I'm looking at this. I could tell the spot where I put the star down is shinier than the other ones. That would have disappeared. Maybe I didn't seal this. Oh. Yeah, they're still going. Yeah, that was a place to get free. And some of them weren't very good looking, but some of them were. I think that's where I got my Burgundian flags from. The other French. There's a lot of different kind of French. You got Burgundians, you got Normans. Normans really aren't French. Well, they're Frenchish. Still wet. Oh well. If we do a evening edition, that's what we're going to jump on. And we'll be able to jump on all of it. That's like, this is literally the only spot where that's going to hold me back, because dry brushing is exactly that. It's dry. So we should be able to just power through that. No problem. But I'm going to cut off now because I need to get ready to go take the car to the dealership.